Hey y'all, I'm Lee Fisher with Move For You, a channel dedicated to eradicating diet culture from our movement practices. Let's start in a seat. I have yoga props. You may not have those things. There's always ways you can use what you have in your house. We're going to start in a seat. So I have here a bolster, but you could use your couch cushions or a rolled up blanket or a book even, maybe with some padding, if you need to elevate the hips. When we're sitting cross-legged, some of us might want to elevate the hips because our hips are tight, or if we have low back pain, I know a lot of us do right now, or if we need to make some more space so that we can cross our legs. So my legs aren't fully crossed, I just kind of have one in front of the other and the other foot tucked in. Feel free to play with it. It is totally fine to just kind of stagger your legs, do what works. Just sit up nice and tall. And if you decide to sit on a thing like I am, and if it's hurting your back or if it's bothering you, you can ditch the project. Take a moment and maybe close your eyes unless that causes anxiety. Just check in with yourself. If you can, breathe deeply in through your nose and back out again through your nose. And continue that solid breathing rhythm throughout our movement today. This is a great way to help calm your nervous system naturally. When we take inhales and exhales in and out through our mouth, it actually sends signals to our nervous system that we're being chased by a bear. So when we breathe in and out through the nose, that's like your first line of defense, automatically calm. Once you feel that calm kind of settle in, you can keep your eyes closed. If you're an auditory processor, you might just need to listen to my voice, or you might need to look up and see what's going on. Just take an inhale and reach up, all the way up, and take a big stretch. And then exhale, twist to one side. Now we're here in video land, which means that some of us will really know that way is, I'm twisting to the left. And you might look at it and be like, yeah, she's twisting to the left. Or you might look at it and be like, I don't know. Right, so I'm twisting. I've got one hand on a knee and one hand behind me. And then I'm going to take this hand that's back behind me and I'm going to lift it up. So I'm sitting up really tall and I've really got my hand on my leg. That may feel squishy. Maybe you want to grab your calf. I'm going to hold on to whatever I can hold on to, and it's a little traction. So I want to pull my knee away from me as I pull in the opposite direction. And I'm kind of looking up so that I can look at the camera, but y'all might want to look down. Big stretch. And then come back to center, big sweep with your arms, and just go the other way. Which way was I going? Opposite side. So again, crossing over the body, hand to knee, maybe calf. There's going to be another hand back behind you. Simple seated twist. Tone your abdominal muscles. And then stay kind of in this relative shape, but take this hand that's back there and reach it up. Big reach. And then again, I'm pulling my knee down in a way to get some nice traction. You could look up or down. Come back to center. I'm going to ditch my seat. If you have pretty open hamstrings, the perch can cause difficulty sometimes. So from here, we're going to go into a butterfly pose, right? I think we did this in gym as kids, right? Bouncing, don't do that. And then yoga, we call it Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose, or cobbler's pose. A couple of different things you can do depending on what you need. So if you put the pinky toe edges of your feet together and let your feet open like a book, this is going to get more into the inner thighs when you fold. And then if you smoosh your feet together, like your feet are praying for this all to be over, then that's going to help you get into your outer hip more, which is what I need, so that's what I'm going to do. And you can play with it. You can take your heels in super tight, super close. If that feels good, that will probably feel more intense. or you can take them out and away. You also might need to make space. Sit up nice and tall. Often this will be plenty. You don't actually need to add anything. Or you can hinge a little bit forward. Again, if you're choosing the one where you're squeezing the big toes together, really squeeze, really press. In fact, I'm using my hands. Push, push. And then sitting on back up and take your feet wide. Got all this stuff around. And then when you're finding this seat, if you're super flexy, you might just be able to fling your feet out sideways, like in a straight line almost. If you can do that, that's so cool, but that's not what we're doing. More like a right angle. So like if I were gonna take something with a corner, right, that corner would be, this is fine. This amount is fine. Sitting up nice and tall. And first we'll fold forward just like we did with the feet together. I've got some energy out through my toes, so particularly, actually this could go either way, depending on whether you're tight or flexy-loosey. Your feet might flop in, or they might flop out. Keep your kneecaps and your toesies pointing up. And then only go as far forward as works for your body. And then coming back up, sitting up nice and tall, I'm going to twist towards one side again, pick one, just like we did with the legs crossed. And now I'm going to kind of lean to the side. So I'm reaching in the opposite direction. I've got a hand to a foot. Maybe that foot is nowhere near. That's fine. Grab your knee, your calf, your ankle. We want to work to relax the neck and shoulders. So line your nose up with your breastbone and then take your opposite arm up and tilt. Nose, chin, breastbone, that's neutral. It's where I'm going to start. But then I just want to relax my head down. And I'm stretch. And then I'm going to take this opposite arm, or the one that's up, down and away. And I'm just getting a little neck stretch there. Relax your jaw. And come back up to center. Boop. Again, I'm going to twist first. That's going to help keep me on the side plane. So I'm twisting away from the leg that I want to fold towards. Energy through the feet, knees and toes up to the sky. And then I'm going to go sideways. Again, this hand may come to your knee, your calf, your ankle, maybe you've got your foot. Line, nose, chin, breastbone up. So that's going to get your neck in neutral. And then bloop. Opposite arm up, stretch. And then forward and back. Drop your head. Come on back up to a seat, and now we're going to go into a tabletop position. My blanket is behind my props. It's going to make a mess. It's going to reveal the mess. Okay, no it didn't. So I have a bona fide yoga blanket. I know it is because I bought it at a yoga studio. Does your blanket have to be a bona fide yoga blanket? No, it does not. For a long time I was using a Winnie the Pooh Christmas blanket. Any old blanket will do, and you may not need it. I like to pad my knees. We're going to come into a tabletop situation. So I'm stacking my knees up underneath my hip bones. Your bones, your hip bones. Yeah, it's much closer together than you think it is. And then my hands are going to go under my shoulders. So I've got this like rectangle box thing happening. And then I just want to roll through some spinal flexation. So for most of us, this part of your spine, your lumbar spine, is going to go in easier. So it can be pretty easy to just go dunk into that. And then for most of us, when we go the opposite way, this part in between our shoulder blades is going to go up easier. So I want you to think about doing the opposite. So when I press into the floor, I'm really toning the belly, and I'm trying to lengthen here more. And then when I take the back bendy piece, I want to try to keep my neck neutral. My belly is still toned. And then I'm trying to bend more behind my shoulder blades, the part that doesn't want to bend. And just take a couple more like that. You know, 3 to 5 rounds This is always a great one to do, getting some movement in your spine, some strength in your arms, some strength in your core. And then you might want to walk your knees a little bit closer together. Strong belly, long spine. I'm going to take my right leg, stretch it back. So that is my right leg. I'm not fussed again about which leg you're doing, but you're going to take your leg to the opposite side. So my right leg's going back. My footsie is going to go over, in this case, towards y'all. Boop. So my foot went over to the left. And now I'm swiveling my hips back to the right. The idea here is I'm getting into that outer hip, the part that's very grumpy from you sitting on your couch all the time. Come back to center. No judgment. We're all still sitting on our couches all the time. Stretch the opposite leg back. So again, in this case, it's my left. I'm going to take my left leg, boop, over to the right, and I'm swiveling my hips back towards y'all. Thought the first side was bad. Come back into center. And then, if it's all right for you, we're going to sit the hips back to the heels. I need to move my blanket to do that. I'm working to sit my hips down to my heels now. When I sit up, they'll stay. When I come forward, they won't. You may have the same thing. In yoga, we call this child's pose. It's a little bit of a back stretch, hip stretch. I'm working to stretch out my spine. This pose does not work for every body for lots of reasons. So you might just want to lay down on your belly or sit back, take a break. We're going to move on in just a sec. From here, I'm going to come into that upside down V position, or down dog. I think most people are familiar with down dog, even if you don't know yoga. I want to stretch my hips up and back. This is a great stretch, great pose for pretty much the whole body. We might want to have bent knees. You can see my knees are bent. I usually start out that way. My heels are actually up because my ankles and calves are feeling very tight. I'm going to walk my hands back to my feet. So my feet are pretty far apart here, relatively. They're about the distance of the mat. So you might want to play with this. Basically, you need enough space in between your feet so that you can forward fold without feeling like you're going to suffocate. That's going to be different for everyone. Some people can put their feet all the way together. Some people need to step wider than the mat, and everything in between. Try to soften your neck, soften your shoulders, and just kind of hang. I'm even shaking. That feels nice. And then nice strong belly here. You might want to bend your knees a lot. You could put your hands on the floor if you're Gumby, or hands on your own legs. I want you to pull your belly in, lift your chest forward. Make the back of your neck long. If for any reason it doesn't seem like it'd be a good idea to stand up strong from there, then you can also roll up through your spine, which I'm not going to demonstrate because that doesn't work for me. But you might be familiar with it. A lot of times yoga teachers kind of insist on one or the other, and they work for different people for different reasons, okay? So choose your favorite. Now I'm at the back of my mat, but I would like to be up there. So I'm going to do another down dog. So reach up and then fold. Lift your chest, and then I'm going to walk it out. If you're like, oh hell no, I am not going to do that, you're crazy, then you can, hello, I'm back in my hands and knees. Things are normal. Down dog. From here, I'm going to take my right foot forward to my hands. A couple of different ways I can do that. One, our handy dandy knees down. Step. Yep. If you do yoga a lot, pretty strong in the arms, you might swing your foot forward. That does not work for everybody, so don't force it, don't stress. Again, I've got my blankie. Adjust your fashion. And then I'm in a lunge. Right now, my back hip bone is over my back knee. That's a great lunge. It's a great place to stay. If you're more flexy in the hips and your low back is okay, you might sit it more forward. That's going to give me a bigger stretch on kind of the back psoas, the front of the back hip. I'm going to grab my blocks. You may not have blocks. I've got all kinds of things around. I've got a BB-8. I've got some roller skates. Don't recommend those if you're trying to stabilize. A water bottle, books, or you may not need a reach extender. You might just grab the floor. Curl your back, toes under, lift your back knee up. And then I'm going to work to straighten my front leg while keeping my hips flat. What happens a lot, I don't know if you can see from this angle, we're going to find out in post, when people straighten their legs is their hips cattywampus over to the side. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but you won't be able to find the same kind of stretching that you can if your hips are level. So right now I'm on the ball of my back foot and all 10 toes are pointing straight ahead. That actually helps me level off my hips. And then I'm noticing that my weight is kind of shifting, listing to the right. Boop. That's coming up. So I want to fix that. So press down into your big toe like we did at the beginning in that butterfly pose. I've got my blocks for reach extender. I'm going to lift up, squeeze your inner thighs, and then bow back down. Rebend your front knee. I'm going to step back to down dog. I've got these blocks here. I feel pretty stable with my hands on blocks in down dog. If you try this and you're like, well, that's horrible, then knee down, hands down, step back. Again, I'm going to take my left foot forward so I could come to hands and knees first, or whee! That big foot swing forward may not work. Don't stress. Again, I'm starting out. I've got my pirate lunge. My back knee is under my back hip. Everything's kind of at right angles. Great place to hang out. Or I'm going to sit it more forward. I didn't talk about the arms last time, did I? I've been working on with keeping my arms down just because my neck and shoulders are very tight. And this feels really stable to me. Kind of classic in yoga, that shape. Whoop, arms up. You could do that as well. How's your breath? I just noticed mine was horrible. That's why I mentioned it. But I'm also talking. So again, I've got my reach extenders. Maybe you need them. Maybe you don't. Curl your back toes under. Back knee up. Boop. Hips up and back. What tends to happen when we start to straighten this front leg, is our hips go off to the side. So I want you to really try, counterbalance that. It may not be perfect, it may not happen. This front leg does also not have to be all the way straight. You can get lots of good stuff happening. Big deep breath, come up onto your fingertips, and exhale, bow to your depth. Squeeze your inner thighs. And then we're going to step back into down dog. You might want to do hands and knees, stabilize, and then come up. Don't trip on your blankie. Boop-a-doop. Take your feet forward towards your hands, forward fold. Coming up, reach up, big breath, big stretch, and slide your palms pressed together in front of your heart to come to your center and adjust your fascia. Hopefully you're in your home, not someone else's home, so you know where things are. But you may want to grab something for balance. So if you know balance is today, grab the wall or a handy chair. Yeah. Or if you want a balance challenge, you can work this in the middle of the room. So wherever you are, whatever you're grabbing, root onto one leg again, not fussed which one, just do both. And then bend this knee. Bend it. I understand you don't want to. Bend it. And then bring the other leg up. Aha, I'm a little flamingo. It may take a couple of tries, you may be like, okay, I thought I was fancy. That's fine. Whether or not you're grabbing onto something, you're still getting this fantastic work in the leg you're standing on. Then I'm going to take my other leg, cross the ankle. So I've got this figure 4 shape. I am bending the leg I'm standing on, and I'm kind of sticking out the tushy. Keep your belly toned, particularly if you're flexy in your lumbar spine, if you have ouchies in your back. Sit down. I've got my hands out for balance. You could also fold a bit more and grab a hold of your shin. This may be enough. Or if it's all right with you, you're going to take this opposite hand. So in my case, my right leg is up, but whatever leg is up, it's the opposite arm. And I want you to take your cute tricep here, and I want you to stick it on your foot. You're like, no. Maybe it's your forearm. Maybe you fall over. Wrist, forearm, elbow, tricep, and then I'm gonna push. And that just made this go, blah, blah. Why don't you get off the couch? Don't forget to breathe, it's important, promise. Okay, I'm gonna come out like it's not an emergency, and then let's switch sides. So we're working on our balance first and foremost. Boom. I'm gonna bend the leg. That's gonna fire up all those muscles. Boom. Maybe I try. Maybe I need to grab something. Figure 4 stretch. I got my arms out. I'm balancing. It's going well. Maybe I want to fold a bit. I'm going to grab my leg. That does help with the balance. Or we're going to try this pressure, kind of turning everything on. So again, palm, wrist, forearm, elbow, tricep. I'm going to push. Make the noise, lightsaber noise. And it's really going to help get into that. Unwind. Like it's not an emergency. Come on out. And then we're going to take a squat. Okay, here's the thing with squat. They say, whoever they is, that proper squat form is toes straight forward and heels down. I can do that till about there. It's going okay, actually. So I'm surprised. If I want to come all the way down to that squat, there's 2 things I can do. I can lift my heels. That doesn't feel great in my knees, so I'm going to stop. Or I can let my toes come out. And that gives me a bit more leverage to get the heels down. I recommend that you either only go down as far as you can keep heels down, toes forward. Or if you want to drop in more, only give up one thing. If your toes turn out and your heels come up, that's pretty unstable in your joints. So I'd rather see you pick your favorite. Really getting in to those outer hips that are so grouchy. What can happen here though is this can kind of exacerbate that Mr. Burns computer hunch. So I really want to counterbalance that. And then we're going to come into a forward fold. So hands are down. You could also grab your blocks. My toes turned out. So as soon as my hips lift enough for me to turn them back, that's what I'm going to do. I am working my legs pretty straight. That's me personally. You may not want to do that. You may want a lot of bend. If you, depending on how your joints mobilize, like my joints when they're locked, they don't look locked. At least they don't look super like hyperextended. Or yeah, they don't look super hyperextended. So you want to make sure that you're not all the way into that full lockout. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, bow, come on up. And then come back to your center. We're gonna come to lay down. Yay! My favorite pose these days for counterbalancing the horrible sitting. We're gonna take a half happy baby. So you're gonna lay on down. Whee! Both feet flat. I think I'm off center. I think I'm off kilter. Lay down, both feet flat. I'm gonna keep one knee up. I'm gonna take the other knee in. Again, not fuss which one. And then maybe you grab your ankle. Maybe my hand is going like it's gonna grab here, but I'm gonna keep my palm facing the opposite wall and grab my pinky toe. And then I wanna make sure that my knee isn't torqued at all. Ankle over knee. This could be plenty of things. I'm gonna start to rock a little bit. Oh, good Lord. This is where the demons live. I'm really kind of getting into that crunchy area that's so grouchy from sitting. And then from here, that same pose we did in standing, a little bit better. The same leg I was just working, I've got my figure 4, stay there. Or you can hug the whole kit and caboodle in. There's all these like graspings you can do in yoga. It's very in fashion to kind of get the top of the calf. I like to grab my knee and my foot actually. That just feels better for me. But whatever works. Unwind, feet down. Opposite side. Again, not fuss which side you're doing when. Just make sure you do both. Sometimes that does require your brain to be a bit more focused than maybe we want it to be. Just acknowledge that. I've absolutely done the same side twice, not realizing it. So, again, ankle or foot, ankle over knee, and then maybe you just stay there, or I'm rocking a bit. Doo-doo-doo. Or I'm rocking a lot of it. Same side. Boop. Figure 4. This is a great place to be. Or hug it in. Drop it down and windshield wiper your knees side to side. I'm going to rest. We're all going to rest. You are going to rest. Don't turn off the video because this part is boring. You could miss something really cool at the end. You don't know. I strongly recommend that you just take the moment. Our culture as a whole doesn't generally reward rest. Take a moment. Maybe you feel good laying down flat on your back. Maybe with legs out. In yoga, we call this Shavasana, that final pose. Or maybe, like me, knees up, feet flat. That feels good. I'm just kind of letting my knees fall in. You could also be like, well, this is horrible. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel like I'm resting. I've messed up my hair. Maybe you just want to come into a seat and take a moment. We've all got stuff all around, blankets, blocks, what have you. So we could set ourselves up even almost like a little nap time. Yeah. Or you can just sit. That's fine. I've got my nap time. I want to do that. So I'm going to come back. Really just about a minute. The idea here is not to empty your mind and think of nothing. That's actually impossible. The more you try to think of nothing, the more things you will think. So instead, what I invite you to do is soften, relax, take a breath, and just follow the thread of your thoughts for a moment or two. If thoughts that are unpleasant, that you don't like them, start to come in, we can just send those on away and go on to the next thing. But just let your mind wander and drift for a moment, and I'll call you back in just a second. No rush whatsoever. If you would like to continue resting, just make sure you've turned off autoplay. Stay there for as long as you'd like. When you're ready to come back, take a deep breath. If you're laying down flat like me, or flattish like me, what I recommend is that you roll to one side and then come up. But really, however you need to move is fine. Just coming back into a seat, kind of where we started. Sitting up nice and tall. Bring your hands onto your body, either in a way that's grounding, maybe onto your legs, or in a way that's soothing, maybe onto your chest. Take a deep breath in and breath out. Open your eyes when you're ready. Thanks so much for playing along with anti-desk chair maneuvers. This practice, this little exercise adventure was fairly yoga based. If you're familiar with yoga, that's pretty obvious. I will be doing some different things next on deck, hopefully by the weekend, if not next Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm still working out posting schedules. We'll have anti-desk chair maneuver part 2. Let's focus more on the upper body, chest, shoulders, neck, that kind of shebang. Drop a comment for things you want to see on the channel. Like, subscribe, share, hit that little bell, and check out the store for our fabulous shirts so we can continue to smash diet culture and the patriarchy. Thanks, y'all.